Hey everybody, Asher here, and welcome back to Roadwarden, where we are getting the continued dialogue from where we left off last time, capturing a bird. Let me see if I can actually get the quest pop up here for our completed quest. Apparently there's a few different things here. I was asked to bring news about the creature to Creeks in a day or so. So I was going to go to Creeks before, but I guess we wait. Which means maybe we can go by... I saw another quest that could work pretty well. Maybe getting the Empress Carp. The problem is I'd want to get that on the same day. And we also have the Fallen Tree to do. We have a few different things here. So many things here. And some of them do involve going to Creeks. Actually, most things involve going to Creeks, including trying to clear out this area. So I think what I'm going to do first is we're going to go down to the foraging grounds. We'll go to the statue of a woman as well and see what we can get. Because if this area is all clear, then I should be able to take down the fallen tree and open that up as well. Should being the operative word. But the foraging grounds, that's where a bird was before, and now without the bird here, you don't spot any large predator. Follow the directions to the spot the dead man was found. Well, that's a start. You head over to find a shallow pond in the far east and find a small ravine of sorts. Though instead of water, it hides torn clothes, broken tools, and remains of a camp. There are no bones around. Whoever found their end of this place surely turned into undead years or decades ago. Well, that's fun. There's a broken rope hanging from the tree stump. The other part of the plant is already at the bottom of the ravine. Let's take a closer look. You grab Sodal's halter. Your mount observes the area nervously, not willing to graze on the sparse, dry grass. You pat its side. It won't take long, Kira says, knowing both that it doesn't understand you and that you can't be sure the words are true. It lowers its head and starts to paw the ground. Not willing to repeat the mistake of the previous traveler, you tie your rope to a stone instead of any of the plants. Ooh, gotta remember how to talk here. You only take what's necessary and descend, leaning with your boots against the rock face. Good thing we have vitality now. The sounds of winds and birds are muffled and echoed. You end up in a corridor of rocks. So, the traveler's possessions... We can apparently grab a tool here. You find no blood, flesh, or bones, but the clues tell you all you need. Someone was betrayed by their own rope, now lying on the ground with a torn loop. They landed on their bag, which you find a bunch of broken supply jars and scraps of linen, then tried to crawl away. You find nothing of value, not even dragon bones. Maybe that's why the dead used to own such unreliable equipment. You're ready to climb back, but once you turn around, you realize that you overlook something sticking out from the wall. A pickaxe surrounded by dozens of cracks. Some of a similar rock have already crumbled up, so grab the tool. So, we found a copper vein is what the achievement pops up and says here. So, I have to decide if this is a secret I take to Havivan or something else I share with the locals. Which is a very good question here because, and we have the little thing down here. It gives way easily, more thanks to rust than your muscles. You throw it away using your hands to pull out the shards of the wall, and gasp once you realize the patina on their surface. You kneel down and take a better look at the other rocks. At least a half of them bear a touch of green copper, like a statue in an old temple. You come to your senses, pushing away the images of fortune and future idleness. A large group would have to set up a hamlet here to even inspect the vein, with workers, guards, wood supplies, tools, and under the noses of locals. Squabbles over ore can turn violent pretty fast. So we want to try to get away from Havivan. So it'd be a little interesting to turn around and say we're going to give this information. I could try to forage, although it would take more time. You pick 2 bunches of wild plants. That's fine, because we're trying to kill some time right now. The time goes by as you run about until you stumble upon a bush with juicy berries hidden under a boulder. Together with a couple of wild carrots and onion, you'll have more than enough to fill your belly. You grow familiar with the valley, but you don't think it hides too much more. So we could go back. Copper ore is the question mark now. We could go down here. We could go down here. I don't want to stay at the abandoned watchtower. I half wonder if we have to deal with what's, like, there's still bugs and stuff in the abandoned watchtower. Let's go up to the statue here. Alright, so... Consider washing myself in the stream. Wash my shell so we look a little bit better. Fish trap have any luck? We got 3 fishes, so I'm going to set that up again. And we have I caught 11 fish. So we're not going to wash ourselves twice. We could try to go up to Gale Rocks. Old Forest Garden. Looks like we wouldn't get to White Marshes in time because we'd have to go to the peat fields first. Don't know if I want to spend the night there, but we do need to go back at some point. Let's go to Foggy Lake and see what we can bust up here. Approach the foragers. You know more about this than traps. Can you teach anything about them? Oh, why are you catching us? Hare or stoat? When you explain what you've seen in the tunnel, Ilm looks around. Oh dear. You better look for some big traps. Ephron from Creeks. He's a real hunter. So that's who I wanted to talk to. So we're going to end this day a little bit early. We could buy some iron scraps. We may be able to flip those for a better price later. Let me ask about copper. Haven't heard of such a place. Ask me about the old bridge. Okay, so... And we'll stay there longer than any of us, she smiles. Hidden people, or hidden place. Haven't heard of such a place. Well, that sucks. Like, I've heard about people around there. I've heard about stuff if you just go east from the old bridge. She clearly knows something else. She doesn't trust me enough to give a job yet. Well, how am I supposed to gain trust? Alright, well, I don't need to eat right now either. We don't need to sleep right now either. And we can't stop here again. I guess we can stop by the northern road. How long until we get to the afternoon? 5.5 hours. We've kind of looked in the old tunnel as much as we can. We have Gale Rocks. I guess we can try over here. But I want to stop at Foggy's by the end of the night, so... Let's forage for some more wild plants, and our inventory is now chock full of wild plants and bronze rods. So we're literally just wasting time before we have to seek shelter here. And I hear some nasties. Like, if I wanted to spend the night at marshes, we could. Or, white marshes, but I don't really want to. Alright, so even the loud crickets can't hide the loud splash of a creature just jumped into the lake. So let's set up a fish trap here. And now we can seek shelter. So let's go to Foggy Lake and let's take a sleep. Alright, so sleep in the attic for... We have 2 rations, but we'll pay 1 rent. And now we're maxed out on vitality. Okay, your sleep gets distorted by the foul smell coming from your bundles. The raw fish meat is now rotting. Its state gets worse with every day, but even now you struggle to imagine what you continue your journey with that smell around. So, bartered or sold? Okay, so we had 11 fish, now we have 9 fish. Hardly any light reaches the ground through the clouded sky, the deep night as some people call it. So dark that you can't see the fingertips of your extended hand. You try to look outside, but to no avail. Even the predators will spend the next few hours hidden, unsure of what surrounds their shelters and hideouts. Not all of them, though. You hear cheerful howling coming from the heart of the forest. A hunt queen, or maybe a hunt lord, has already captured its next meals. I can't stay on watch the entire night, but before my second sleep, I sit still with a single candle, looking for anything that may try to get inside. So that's nice. Alright. So we have our inventory again. We're down to 6 fish. Alright. So we'll need to trade them before they spoil. So we're full. Our appearance doesn't look the worst. It's the beginning of the day. So let's go up to Creeks. Time for me to go. Travel up to Creeks. So first things first, let's see if we can clear the road here. Ella and Elfrin are on the bridge discussing something as they look at you at the flowing clear stream. They welcome you politely, ask you about your day. I have some good news. I helped boys from Foggy's catch a large bird that will soon be brought here. While you try to stay on point, Elfrin is full of energy. He asks about every detail, from the animal's size to the way it acted in combat. Your brief answers are met with shouts echoed by silent bounces of the wolf's head. It's a brave venture. I'm glad they didn't try it without you. Ella gestures for the hunter to drop it. Thank you for giving us time to prepare. I was also told to ask for 1 dragon bone. Of course. The carpenter looks around. Pay for the messenger. Just give me a minute. He scuttles away and quickly as his legs will allow. We don't carry dragons with us, the hunter explains. So, how large is the beak? Something like this. He demonstrates the size with his hands and for another few minutes showers you with questions. Finally, the dragon bone finds its place in your hands. I'll get to preparation soon, concludes Ella, grasping at the air and leaning against the railing while Elfrin lopes away, apparently to prepare the animal pen. There's no time to waste. The carpenter invites you to follow him on there. So he pretends there's no bandits here. About the eastern path. So we need to find out about the watchtower. And we can't take out the fallen tree, so we need to look in that watchtower some more. There's a big spider at the hunter's cabin, but it's gone now. He observes you and checks his hands and smiles. Glad to see you're fine, friend. How's the cabin doing? You answer him with a few times, and he stretches his arms out, then puts his hands on his back of his head. His eyes are absent. So it'll be an easy restoration, maybe. A few logs to swap, the roof won't do much anymore. It takes you a pronounced grunt for him to blink a few times and raise the lid on the case. 1 for the news. He puts the first dragon bone on the tabletop and another next to it, and this one for taking care of the beast. Alright, so that's exciting. I'm not gonna, jump them for even more money, although I could. Well, friend, thanks for your tales. The hunters and foragers feel more confident about the meadow, from here to Foggy's and even beyond. When you have a day to spare, come here any morning. Ask our tribesfolk about a job for a road warden, unless it rains. You'll get 2 dragons and enough stew to fill your belly for a day for patrolling the roads. So maybe. We need to get the watchtower. We have mundane jobs. So we can ask about the rod for the enchantress, or we can ask about this. Let's ask about the rod first. He grabs the rod and looks at it with cautions. I wouldn't call her our friend exactly. You'd do better selling this. Swinging it left and right like a club, he tells you to wait. It can't just be my decision. I'm going to ask the others, at least a few of them. You rest at a table and observe how the man approaches various souls and exchanges a few words with them. It takes him so long you manage to get bored enough to indulge a little girl who'd like to pet Sodal. Aww. The man returns and gives you the rod back. Well, my tribe is far from convinced. We'd rather stay away from it. So we need to do some more for them. Probably clearing the eastern path will let us get that open. So that means we do get to go to White Marshes, I guess, today. Do I look like someone who crawls through tunnels? He smiles and pats his stomach. You want Elfrin. He catches everything. It doesn't fly or swim. So let's talk to Elfrin. Well, let's talk to old Hava the farmer. I need supplies. So we could buy a fish trap or we could buy a roast chicken. Always want to buy that roast chicken. It is good shit. I could approach the shallow creek, but let's talk to the hunter. So, about the hunters, having an opportunity to work with these guys. Do you know their trade? I just want to know about the traps. Depends, he growls. Does anyone, got anyone to help you? Then start with taking a good look around. Find some sticks, tools, maybe a beast tusk this long. He shows the span with his fingers, or bigger. What's your catch? You mentioned the skeletons, and he scratches the side of his head. Then, a bit fast. I put something fast too, but firm, but hitting right away, but camouflage. But he sees you frown and straightens up. Well, let's just say you can find any wood. Put deadfalls where you can gather hard things to drop. Maybe above doors and whip traps behind the corners, but these take lots of work. Foothold traps are easier to make, but the tunnel's rocky. Or, oh, lazy spirits, just come with me. You take a short walk to the woods, and he shows you a few spots with traps for animal feet, made of short slats surrounding camouflage holes, and tells you how to place larger traps without having trees around. You head back to the village and repeat his instructions. So, did we just learn how to make traps? Let's ask about these guys. Alright, so both of them, but I'd rather hunt with frogs than waste my time teaching them both how not to trip over their own feet. He rubs his forehead as well, not aware that you're waiting for him to tell you more. What? Surprised? He finally adds. Erastos barely knew how to catch a rabbit or a sparrow. He's as much of a trapper as a child with a stick as a soldier. And Cassia is even worse. Big mouth, sure, but whenever we seek blades at Gale Rocks to help us with big prey, she suddenly gets a headache. So that's a little more there. I need to find Admin. Alright, so my first question is, who is Admon? Do we have an entry form? It doesn't look like we do. Now, the thing is that there's not a lot of, like, a whole wiki of information for this game, although there very well could be. And there's kind of a wiki in the game that's clearly right here that you need to unlock. But man, I would love to, just sometimes when I'm spinning my wheels on stuff, just try to get, like, who's this basic information here. So have good hunting. We have talked to everybody here. We're not going to do mundane jobs. We have money. We have spider silk. We have raw fish. We have a cave ear mushroom. Alright, well, we can't... I don't know if we can build the traps yet. We may need to get some wood and stuff, but for now, instead of dealing with the old tunnel, I kind of do want to go to the peat fields. So let's go to the peat fields. A surprise venture. This is not what I was expecting to do today. An outraged shout of birds fills the bog. Suddenly, more than 20 brown birds take off from the grass, scared off by the sound of hooves. Thyrsus is sitting on a bench observing your arrival as he grinds something in a mortar. But once you greet him, he leaves his tools behind and moves to the edge to scrap. The creeper is idly hanging from his arms, resting on the ground. So... we have a lot of questions. So, where do we start here? I need you to open the path to White Marshes. Then I think you know what I need you to do. Okay, so this chicken roast smells really good. Will a food ration be fine? Very fine. So there we go. Tell him about Valen's situation. He stares in the distance towards the village. Poor thing, a fair soul with too much patience. But there's nothing I can do. After you ask him for advice, he spits around. Lie, I guess. Orintus already did. Won't be happy with you causing pain in his people. And Helvius neither, unless the hunter was lying too. So did you choose to move here? He reaches towards his chest. One of us surely likes to ask questions while the other one's got work to do. His voice is colder than soil. Alright. So, can you sell me anything? We have withering dust. We have a jar of ointment that keeps insects away. A jar of bug-killing ointment. And a bone hook. We could actually spend all of our money here. Get sting ointment, herbal bug repellent. So what's the difference here? An ointment that keeps insects away and this, and then we have a grappling hook. So I need to remember that this guy has a grappling hook. I don't know if we need to wither plants, but let's buy this and let's buy this. Because if the tower is a little bit of a problem, and we may be able to clear it with just that stuff. All right, let's talk about Asterion. He shifts his foot and rubs with bracelets. People claim that you and a tribe were planning something big. Do you deny that? He rolls his eyes, shrugs his arms, and shows his empty palms. Yet the nervous twitches of the creepers add a little to his innocent demeanor. He and I traded a few times, but I didn't bed with him or offer him any stew. He said he may have a job for me in the woods, and I told him I don't need his bones anymore. When asked what he did need, Thyrus pushes his lips. I want things to change, is all. I wake up to another shell in the fogs, and Glaucia's robbers threaten my family. And all I want for this cursed land is to be normal. His yawns come out of nowhere. But then you notice he drops shoulders and heavy eyelids. And, yep, that's Warden told me he's going to take care of it. So, he stretches, yawning. Well, let's say if I were to help, he spares you the Elgrin. 'Tis all you say. Yep. Save the North or scrap it for all I care, and I'll follow you into a fog. So tell me about this cursed land. And you're saying the rest of the North isn't cursed? He lets out a chuckle. But seeing as how you still wait for his advice, he raises one of his creepers and looks in the distance, scratches it. I have no cure for that, but ask Eudocia, the witch from the other side of the woods, far east. Maybe she has a wand or something. Alright. Do I want to be rude and push this here? Let me push. He sits down on the bench. Do I care who made me leave the walls? Orintus didn't want me there, but I don't want to say. To stop him now, you'll need a band, and I'd tear off your head sooner than I bring a threat to my tribe. You reach towards your blade, but the creepers remain idle. You're stepping on the tree its branch. Seeing from your frown, he continues. Their grasp gets tighter the more you move. You see, forget it. He waves off. Why do you care about any of that? Let my people choose their path. Well, here's some true things here. The dead deserve their rest. They're being enslaved. The undead will turn dangerous. We just don't know when. Your tribe's become an outcast soon. No merchants will want to be there. Come on, you know just as well as I do this is wrong. Well, I'm going to go with the danger here. He nods. Does what I told him, but Orent's is sure he's a prophet. He don't listen. He leans forward, pays close attention to your eyes. What's your plan once you get to him? Well, this is a good thing here. I think the Kira answer is I'll improvise. But I want to learn what pushes him to do all this. He must have his reasons. I want to try to talk it out, or I'll do whatever's necessary. I'll improvise. Can you not? He lets out a sigh and gets back on his feet, wondering, I'd rather see you being serious about this. All I can do is find a way to let you into his house, and you'll have but one chance. If you can't convince me, you'd be trusted. He shakes his head, raising one of the turf bricks of the creeper and breaking it in half. He steps away. Yep, he may not be as easy to persuade as you think, you know. So he doesn't trust me enough. What can help convince you? He licks his lips, but then looks away. I'd rather not look. So he yawns loudly. I need to meet with Orentus. We can't do that yet. Okay, but we did open up White Marshes, so let's pay for getting rid of the tablet. Before you reach the gate, the farmer once again cuts your path, angrily shaking a sickle. Warden, I was thinking, it takes you oddly long to read this little letter. Jesus Christ. Now I don't feel bad about selling that shit. If I have other shit to do, I am a road warden, not a stay warden. So I learned he puts his hand on his forehead. You can't tell if it's a sigh of relief or tension. Now, I was told by the other person to lie. I don't think I'm going to lie. Because lying, I mean, that's the thing. And this is another important character choice here, is that we don't have the words anymore. Okay, at first he freezes, then gives a hateful look towards Orentus' hut. He knew what this piece of shit did, he growls. He always asked to be heard, only to spread lies. Why do I need to find a stranger to hear the truth for once in my life? His eyes get gentler once he looks at you. You notice tears in his eyes. His shaking hands offer you to war, but now about that tablet, I don't have it anymore. He narrows his eyes, his last shed of trust just escaped his heart. You don't say, I didn't want it back anyway. He turns away and spares you but a short wave of his hand. So, I still don't feel bad, because he is an impatient little shit. But, yeah. You hear a weak moan coming from one of the houses. You notice a skinny woman with a blue scarf. She stares at your mouth like a wolf at an elk. Let's talk to her first. She moves away, but meets your eyes and makes a smile-like grimace, then leads you behind the empty animal pen away from the guard's ears. Her gray hair, mostly covered, is deceiving. She is no older than 30, yet her face is marked by insect bites and pustule scars. She takes confident steps, even though she wears muddy foot wraps without boots and a worn, simple skirt. She squeezes the front of her scarf on her chest, shaping it into something like a short hooded cloak. A warden, I heard? She answers your nod with pursing lips. I need you to ride somewhere for me. Far away from here, to the eastern road. There's an old bridge made of single rock. She doesn't look away or even a single heartbeat. Her knot face is pale and makes her large gray eyes look as if someone took the color away. Beneath it, there's a rock, and beneath the rock, a purse with my savings. Bring it to me. Before you mention your reward, she starts to speak faster, giving the men at the gate a nervous glance. Half of what you find is yours. Bring me the rest. So, this old bridge, and we have copper ore question mark up here. So, did I already find it? I guess I must have already found it, because we have an option that says we have it. I guess I did technically look under there. That's the fun part about recording this once or twice a week, is that things have been going on for a while, and I don't necessarily have track. Alright, I've already found it. She gives you a puzzled look, maybe wondering how to ask what pushed you to dig in the muddy riverbanks, but after seeing the curious look of the guard, she leads you behind the turf house and simply reaches out with your open palm. Okay. So I could lie and give her 10 dragon bones, but I don't have that much. I just want to mention that I'm still working on it. I'm sorry, the pouch is completely rotten. There are no dragon bones, just snails. I think it's better. I mean, we do have food rations. We do have some coins left. This is the only dragon bone I found. She looks at the sky and the ground. For 2 heartbeats, she can't stop herself from revealing the despair in her eyes. But then she adjusts her headscarf, takes a deep breath, and moves her shoulders. I have not even a fistful of blueberries to thank you, stranger, but I'll tell you the rest of the village. You're a trustworthy messenger if anyone asks. Hardly anyone around here does. She hobbles away, splashing with mud in every step. So, you notice the flies land either on the locals or your palfrey, but they avoid the shells. So let's go to Helvius. Alright. Okay, what wares do we have to sell? We're not going to sell quarrels, that's for sure. You say you know nothing about Asterion? Helvius begins swinging his axe left and right, trying to heal the half now rest in the mud. Know what? I was told to meet with our warlock often. Who knows why? Ask him if you must. Alright, so the old people of old Pagos is fighting a plague. Fuck. He looks at the dark clouds and sighs. Who? Kids, elders? While you speak, the nearby villagers stop their work, and even the undead are told to freeze in place, offering your ears a bit of relief. You answer a lot of questions, making the muddy square even more grim. You hear someone weeping and a young woman announcing it's not fair even for them. The mayor nods in agreement, keeping the axe on his shoulders. I'll tell Orentius, from now on we'll gather our wood chips. And twigs in a shed, he raises his voice looking at tribe's eyes. We may have enough for them before the winter. Well, that's nice. So, Cassia, who? You repeat the question, he shrugs. I don't know many great warriors from her tribe. They're a disciplined bunch, but not a single tale about a woman has reached me. So, someone wants to put a rod in the village. She what? Let me see. He swings a hollow piece of bronze like a sword made from a branch, then raises it above his head, staring at it with little patience. A lightning catcher or a toy. Well, come one day here before noon. You'll go out with the foragers as a guard. Work for them in half a day and we'll put it in a tree or on a roof, maybe. Okay, so we can't do that today, but we do know another place to put a rod, and this is the place specifically where she wanted me to put it. We do want to know about the undead. He scratches his back and says, who do you think we are? We don't carry traditions as dark spellcasters. We do what we must to survive and on our own. What are you asking about? I was hoping you could get rid of him, even if it's a long and risky journey for us. I can't make any promises. Okay, tell him about the woman that asked to find her savings. You mean his gaze. Both harshly and condescendingly, you've no doubt he won't have take any accusations lately. Alright. A woman from your village asked me to bring her some lost savings from the east. I thought you should know about this. I don't want to suffer any consequences. I try to forget the whole thing. He closed his eyes and sighs, waiting for you to speak. We'll just say farewell. Alright, so I don't know if we need to do that yet. I don't know if we need to go to the forge yet. How much time do we have left in the day? 6 hours. Now, one of the issues here is that we do want to try to do some stuff at the old abandoned watchtower, but we don't have anybody who's buying our fish. And I think Howler's Dell might be the only place that we can sell it. So maybe if we... But the problem with that is that we're going to burn a lot of daytime. Alright, well... Well, we can't really do anything with the tower until the next day anyway. So let's just go down to Howler's Dell. I mean, we could technically try to go to the gate, but I don't think we have enough rations to open it. So Howler's Dell it is. We haven't been here in a little while anyway. Maybe things have changed a little bit. You ride through the open gate, then swiftly dismount. Some of the locals greet you politely, but they keep their distance. While you notice your own smell and the dirt on your clothes, you no longer wonder why. I head to the stables. Here you go. How much money do we have left? Not a ton. All the more reason for us to maybe make it to Pell to the North so we can gamble a little bit. We don't have a ton of time. Alright, so the Druids won't see me. It's too late to ask for work. We can speak with the Rastos about Dell. Let's go to the tailor first. Okay, so I gathered quite a bit of spider silk. Would you like to buy it? You show her the wrap stick, and without asking, she takes one of the shorter threads and starts to stretch as she nods. I do. What do you want, the dragon rings or a better jacket? You ask her for the details, and she loses more of her patience. 10 rings for the thread. Or give me 2 hours, and I'll put some of it here. She vaguely points to a bit of your gamson. To make it stronger and easier to wear. Well, it wouldn't be terrible to upgrade my armor. That'll be better over time. I'll get money other ways, so I guess we're spending the night here. Cool. So now we have armor form 4. You spend time brushing and watering Soto, practicing combat. I could have just gone to other places in town while she was working. But we didn't. Near the end of the hour, you return to the tailor and sit down on a stump, relaxing at the sounds of Howler's Creek. She asks you to come closer and point to the spots where the seams were ripped and replace the spider silk, which is much lighter than the old thread. It will not get stronger than this unless you cover it with troll hide or something. Alright, so I need your services. Our Gabson's as good as it get. We can try to repair our stuff. You know, Arasta's right. She doesn't stop work. Better than I know you, but I guess you deserve a brief answer. You're a good client. She looks your forehead. He'd be better at carving toys, not box traps. She looks away. Well, that's fine. So speak with Erastos for Dalit. See, it's evening, so we're close to time here. Alright, you ask an archeress if she could point you to the trapper, and she directs you beyond the walls. To the edge of the northern pasturage, there next to the creek, a lone wanderer examines a box of traps. They're placed every few steps, and judging by the man's empty sack, so far all of them have turned out to be empty. Hearing your steps, the man sends you a glance, but soon returns to his task. In the city, he's barely seen as an adult. His facial hair is sparse and light, and he is shorter and slimmer than most women in his tribe. His elegant dark blue tunic suits his tan skin, and the longer dagger he's carrying has a carved handle. He's crouching, looking toward the other bank and playing with the blades of grass. Hello again. I had to do a brief interruption that turned into a day-long interruption, so very exciting times. Picking up where we left off here, it says, Dalit, heard you're interested in heading south. If you remember Dalit here, you should, better than me because you're still watching the middle of the video. But we are doing the request for the hunters here, and I think there was an error saying that Dalit was in the wrong town here. But anyway, he turns his head only slightly, as if it's easier than raising his voice, but his voice avoids looking at you. She did? Are you talking to me there? His voice is surprisingly deep, so it should say, she did? Are you talking to me there? That sounds a little too deep. Adding to his ears, so... what are you going to bring to the table? We're just going to go through the questions here. He waves at the boxes. You see, caught a hare yesterday. Nah, in my box in a snare, and I addressed the pelt too. You wait for a bit longer, but he adds nothing more. Won't you miss home? He drops the grass to the ground, stands up, wipes his hands against his pants. Nah, no one to talk to. Can you survive in the woods? He gives you a puzzled look. Why would I? I'll go with the group. Dig holes, sharpen sticks. 'Tis no like I'm going to put anyone in danger. So... this job is much more difficult than you think. We are really pressing here, but considering how unimpressive the other person was, maybe this is a great concern here. So, recruiting a hunter here. His voice grows frustrated. All hunters act as if they're masters of the woods, but they die all the time. He grabs the nearest box. One of the walls turns out to be loose, so he adjusts it quickly and starts to wander away. Just give me a chance to do what you want, and I'll do it! I can go any day, any hour. So that's all for that. So he's very excited. It is not sleepy time yet. We need to ask the mayor for permission. The Druids won't see me. Let's go to the main square. I guess we can talk to the innkeeper first. Now let's talk for the mayor first. Thy spares you a harsh glance. Woohoo! Yes! Well, that's lovely. So, do we start asking about the ruined village? I have a few questions about Erastos. Erastos, sad news from Old Pagos. We should really pass that on. Pelts to the north and Glacia's banned. I saw a tree south of here. Do you need my assistance? I bring news about the other parts of the peninsula. Thank you for your time. Well, she's not going to answer all of my questions necessarily, but let's start with Erastos and Old Pagos. Sad news about Old Pagos. A few breaths, she doesn't even blink. So close to us, a plague? How? She adjusts her cape and calls the guard with a gesture. Tell the others too by 8 bale, she tells her and then looks back into your eyes. I'll pass them the news once we're done here. We have to close the gates, maybe keep strangers away. She starts to tap on her deer buckle. At least we can make some preparations, thanks to you. Good wandering. Wardening, not wandering. She says with a little conviction, but you should also speak with our druids. They may have more questions for you. The guard returns and the mayor sends her away again. Warn Elpis. She must speak with Kira soon, whoever Elpis is. Alright, I have a few questions about Erastos. She makes an odd grimace, trying to smile while expressing confusion. I doubt there's much to say here. He's just a trapper and not the best one. Huh, interesting. Pelts north, the innkeeper's uneasy about the bland. When you mention the raids in one of the northern villages, her eyes narrow. Are you sure it's the first I've heard about it? Glaucia has been around since years back, but she's not much of a nuisance. Just a messenger. Well, I can't give you my answer. I won't ask our hunters to endanger their lives in pursuit of some gossip. Okay. So I could ask around to learn more about this. This is where she's kind of pissed at me, but I have other questions I want to find out. So let me see if I can learn a bit more. She excises that with oh, so she's being a asshole again. What a splendid idea. There are only 3 villages in the north. White Marshes, far north, Gale Rocks, and Creeks. Bring me news of those places and you will get my answer. Okay. I'm paid for passing the message from here to Pelts in the north. Asking me to ride half the peninsula back is a different deal entirely. Well, I do that anyway. That's literally part of my job. Keep thinking. Surely city folk don't eat wild game all the time, so she's trying to butter we with small talks. So, meat of the tribes. That's totally fine. So, we could piss her off by asking about the enchantress. We could ask about the weird tree. We could ask about the ruined village to the south. Her tense gaze shifts into the awkward click of a tongue as she leans away from you. I don't even want to think about their tragic fate. No one to negotiate with the wrath of the herds. A long pause, and I better not find you upsetting my neighbors with these sad questions. It was a challenging time for all of us. A wound we won't forget. So she doesn't want to speak about that. Rastos, you let her weigh the rod in her hand. It's empty. What is it for? I don't know. Some sort of magic, I assume. Lie, it rains, the tracks, and the winds. She's trying to learn if the entire peninsula is the same weather at all times. Okay, I mean, I look like a stupid person here, but if I'm putting up a rod here, I want her to know. She gives you a look. The answer is no, and if any of us find such a rod in our woods, you and I are going to have a talk. I have no desire to wake up in the middle of the night surrounded by a stone army. So, don't know if I should be as honest all the time here, but one altar standing in front of it. You mean, behold her, the guardian spirit of our wetlands. Every fall we bring our gifts and return it, and it provides us with blessed fruit. Fresh the forest, it's older than the oldest books and the oldest thoughts. The Druids the Druids help us honor it in sleep and shows us how to ask for help. Neither of these rituals would be of use to you, so she doesn't want to talk about that either. Do you need my assistance? She doesn't want to give me a job. News from other parts of the peninsula? I am definitely not going to tell her about this stuff here. I wonder, why are you here? A new life, that's all I need. So mysterious, but I understand. You're more of an adventurer than a soldier. I'd say it's going to suit you well on the peninsula. So we're definitely... I don't think telling her about a copper vein's a good idea. Considering how off-put I am by some of her responses here. Eric's the innkeeper. Let's ask about Erastos first. His eyes get gentle. Poor kid. Is he in trouble again? You mentioned that someone wants to offer him a job, but the innkeeper lets out a sigh and leans against the counter. Maybe that's for the better. Lately, he's been struggling around here. When he's far from eager to share the details, one in particular catches your attention. That's the thing with bad affections, you see. My wife was clear he ought to stay away from our daughters until both him and they passed 20, but 'tis easier said than done. Oh, that's nice. I caught some nice fish. Barter for a food ration. He raises the fish to stiff it. Not many fish in creek. I'll put them in a soup or bake them. Let's say, give you a healthy meal for each one. Let's say 3. So we have 3 fish left. I've got another fish to sell. Let's just go ahead and get rid of our fish. So now we have lots of rations. Ooh. We could actually pass through the gate if we wanted to. I still think it may be a better idea to go through the Pelts of the North just to try to gamble a little bit and then get to the abandoned watchtower. but I think it may be entirely possible that once we deal with this eastern road that it's time to start crossing the middle here. Did someone contact you about work for me? Very much so. Ask for Timo. She's usually at the creek just outside the southern wall doing laundry. She wants to find herself a husband. There's not much for you in it unless you'll be here for the marriage rites, but it'll make her happier. Okay, so we can't afford a teeth cleaning set. Oof. We can't afford that. We are going to need to do that in a little bit, so trader stall's already closed. Let's go to Timo real quick, the washwoman. She may have more information. So new journal entry matchmaking. Gotta drink some coffee for this one here. Before reaching the gate, you find 3 washwomen who are walking down the path, chatting loudly. The wet hair on their arms and legs shines, contrasting the mud on their feet. Some of them wear soaked shirts. All have their heads wrapped in kerchiefs. You know from the city how hard and sometimes dangerous their job can get. You glance over their laundry baskets filled with clothes and buckets of urine. Ooh. Once they notice you, one of them puts her thighs next to a fence and tells the others to go ahead without her. Her companions giggle, but loyally leave the 2 of you alone. So I was hoping to speak with a traveler. She starts to look away. Whenever she speaks, she's both very direct and distracted, struggling to explain her plans. After a brief conversation, you try to sum it up. So, you see a man who agreed to take part in the marriage rites of your druid. She nods energetically, but then freezes. She's tanned from work, but her face is young and smooth, and since her hair is hidden, her bright hazel eyes keep drawing your attention. Not just any man, she interrupts you angrily. Someone who stays in the sun and works hard for us and our kids. You ask if she has any children already, and after another minute of her awkward exclamation, you guess that she doesn't. You ask her it would make a difference for her to move to a different village. We live good lives here, safe and plentiful. I would rather stay, but I could leave with a safe convoy, so see you soon. Alright, so it's 00 minutes before dusk. Let's talk to the druids. This time, the tall druid gives you an encouraging nod. Even though he remains on a bench, he's huge and would do well to guard here. So there's a new building. Ooh, there we go. You approach the building site. The stone foundations are finished, and the timber frame is joined together with a set of intriguing cuts like a large toy. One day, their walls will be whitewashed with limestone and turn into a prestigious shelter, unlike the houses made of logs and boards. The other buildings are surrounded by grass, flowers, and herbs. The turmoil of village life is drowned out by the sound of the creek, but the knocking of a hammer shatters the tranquility. The builders give you a curious glance from above the log they're cutting. So let's make it to the druid. You are welcomed by 8 elders gathered in a semicircle, watching your steps closely. They're not as large as the workers, and their clothes are far from humble. Instead of hemp and wool pants and tunics, they wear colorful robes and dresses made of wool. They vary in style, length, and embellishment, separating from them the outfits of monks. You spot belts and cords, sandals, and closed shoes. One person is bald, one is silver, hair long enough to cover her back like a cape. Most of the druids are clean and rested, though one is a bit of a sloven, with uncombed hair, stained clothes, and dusty feet. Also, unlike the priest of Halavon, their hands are marked by scars, hard skin, old burns, and missing fingers. Still in silence, a woman with a staff steps forward. Let's take a closer look. Her gray robe is decorated with a brown thread that portrays leaves, tree branches, and birds. She's over 50, but the youngest one of all of them. Her back is straight, the gray hair only an inch long. She doesn't need a walking stick. Her weapon is smooth, longer than she is tall. Her blue eyes are vigilant and keenly observe your face, as if in search of venom in your nose and lips. Her lips are thin and small, formed by a stir line that shakes slightly, as if she's on the brink of a burst of anger, and she says nothing. So this is not someone we joke with. We could try to be friendly. I think hiding my emotions is probably going to be the best one here. I'm honored to meet you is probably the better thing to say. Let's not waste any more time. I bow my head and wait for her to speak first. That may actually be a good idea, but I think between these two, I assume you know who I am. I'm honored to meet you. She closes her eyes and tilts her head to the left. You listen to the creak. Honored, please, or maybe curious. Her words are slow and soft, as if she's tasting them. Well, I don't want to backtalk to her, so I'm gonna double down. Honored. She's standing like a statue. That word means nothing to us. A healthy soul cares not for honor, for it belongs to humans and their weak thoughts. Honor can cannot burn nor suffocate, and 'tis already dead as a rock, waiting for a slingshot to throw it. She opens her eyes, and for a moment you see they are not blue, but rather gray like an autumn drizzle. She takes a step back. Your people would see your words as kind, but you are, and always will be, an outsider. We'll listen, but you will not change us. Well, so about trying to be nice to people, that definitely can blow up in your face. So we do want them to let them know about old Pagos. You tell her what you learned from the village gates, making her lean on her staff, touching it with the creek. We cannot help with this tragedy. The people of old Pagos are not our friends, and we will not risk our lives for theirs. She turned... Wow, that's... What a great person. She turns towards the rest of the gathering. After their nod, she takes a deep breath and speaks. She looks to the ground. Travel south to the great healer who lives in a cave beyond the beholder. Oh, I've talked to him. The spirit that guides us through the swamps. Only he may find a way. I'm going to try to hide my annoyance here. Two of the druids whisper to themselves something in old speech, making sure you can't understand them. So I think what I'm learning here is that everybody in Howler's Dell sucks. Alright, can you tell me about Erastos? She looks at the other elders. I doubt this boy did something that would require the attention of the city folk. Well, that's nice. I definitely don't want to do anything on that account. Let's ask about Asterion. Nay, seeing her staff. We have no reason to talk with him. Well, that's probably... What's your stance on necromancy? I think I know. Tell me about your faith. I think, honestly, I'm just going to go. Well, let's see what she has to say. She tilts her head. What do you want to know? I'd like to hear about your teaching. Give away what you can, only take what you need. Well, that sounds like what... They forgot the first part of that. From your soul, from the soil, from the fellowship of humans, you'll leave behind only ashes, accept and grow in peace. She ends with a kind smile. If you think 'tis not much, you're right. If you think any soul has enough years to follow this path fully, your soul is already beset by thorns. I see. She observed you in silence. Let's change the topic. I'm not really interested in talking to her anymore. So we have Elpis. We can go to the main square. And I think it is time to sleep here. So we can rent for 2. Sweet. And that'll actually give us not a food loss, but a food gain and a vitality gain. And more importantly, get a large breakfast washed up with water and soap and cleaning your shoes and underwear. I will be looking good for the first time in like weeks. Alright, the rain once again hits the ground, interrupting your sleep. Another day of muddy roads. Probably not when I need it. Okay, so our appearance is better now. But I do think this is probably time. If we look at the map here, it's going to take us a little longer to get places. So these druids suck, and the elder down here said that these guys suck. So they all suck. This tree can possibly help us with old Pagos, but I want to do one thing at a time, and that's going to start with the fallen tree and the watchtower, and trying to get this cleared up. So we're going to do that next time. We're going to go to the Pelts of the North and see how far we can push it. But that's going to do it for this one. This is Asher. Over to recordings. Fun times. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We will do this again in the near future. You all take care.